What's going on? Okay, good morning, everyone. Sorry it's a bit delayed. I know I said that I would be on here at 8 a.m. We had a great conversation over on Instagram, so that's why I'm a little bit delayed. See if I can't adjust this angle real quick. It's funny, like it tells me I'm going live and it gives me no time to adjust. So, all right. This week I want to talk about different types of filtration. Now, before I get to that point, figured I'd catch you guys up a little bit on stuff. I wasn't on here last week and I apologize. Last weekend I got scuba certified. Here in Vegas it was cold, like super cold. Temperature outside was about 41 degrees. The water temperature was 42 degrees. I am now scuba certified, but I was completely exhausted after that. So that's the reason why there was no live last week. I think I slept. After I was done with the certification, I came home, slept, woke up, went, ate, and then went back to bed. So I apologize for the lack of live, but the reason I was getting scuba certified is because I got a new job as an aquarist at one of the local aquariums. Hey, good morning. Thanks for joining. So I'm back, but today, like I said, I want to talk a little bit about filtration. I would like to do a quiz. I don't know if there's going to be enough people to join us, so I'll pose this question now and then I'll go back and answer it a little bit later. All right, Dr. Ted, let's see how well you know your filtration. What are the 3 different types of filtration? Now, that was asked to me in my interview question, and I was like, oh, that's something really good that I feel like everybody should know. And I feel like everybody does know it, just the way they think about it might be a little bit different. So, while I'm giving you a chance to think about that, I'm going to tell you about Reef Cell. Reef Cell, like all of our other foods that we have, has the spectrum guarantee to it. So if you're not familiar with the spectrum guarantee, you can always go to our website. There is a section you can read the spectrum guarantee, all the fun fine print. But basically, we guarantee results. I've been feeding the Reef Cell in my coral tank, okay, my nano tank. It's got a few corals for about 2 weeks now, and I'm actually starting to see results. Not that I expected anything different, but it's cool. A couple of my zoanthids have actually, like the diameter of them, I can actually see a difference. I didn't do any measuring or anything because it's my first little nano tank and I'm excited as, just doing it for fun, a hobby. So right now I can see results after 2 weeks. So you should be able to see results. I've had a lot of people tell me that they have seen amazing growth with using our Reef Cell. So if you ever have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to me. You can always leave comments, and I'm usually pretty good at getting back to them. Yeah, I will eventually get back to you. I know this has been a hectic couple of weeks, but I'm not ignoring you. All right, so filtration. Because, when you're like me and you get excited, and you feed your corals a little bit too much, because you're like, this is my first coral tank. Like, I really want to watch them grow. You gotta do water changes and you gotta make sure your filtration is good. So I didn't have to do, hey, yes, you joined. I actually lucked out. I didn't have to do a water change on my little nano tank. Even for everything I was feeding, it didn't cloud up the water. I don't have any phosphates. My water quality is good. So 3 different types of filtration. Can you guess? No? Yes. All right. So, 3 different types of filtration. Number 1, biological filtration. 2, mechanical filtration. 3, chemical filtration. So, yep, you got one. I didn't wait long enough. So, do you have an example of chemical filtration? I got a couple examples of all of these written down, but I'm curious to see what you guys think, what examples you have. Some of the people on Instagram brought up some interesting ones that I hadn't thought of, but were pretty good. Yep, exactly. That's exactly what I have written down. A really cool use for carbon, give a little bit of a backstory. So I started working at this public aquarium. We have a ozone generator to help keep the water clean, and the pump for it has been all sorts of cattywampus lately, and they had it turned off, but the tank got cloudy, so like, oh, we need to get that generator back on, we need to get that pump running. And I told them, I'm like, well, if you can't get it back running, you can add carbon. Carbon will definitely help to clear up the water and get that water looking like perfect and crystal clear. So that is good. Carbon is like my number one chemical. But then, you know, ozone too. I don't know that many like home hobbyists have ozone generators at their house. I know people that have talked about it, but I feel like that's a lot to attempt for a home aquarium. Unless you've got like real big tanks. I feel like this weekend on Facebook I've seen a whole bunch of huge tanks popping up, like 6,000 gallon tanks, 20,000 gallon tanks. So they may very well have generators on their system. Okay, number 2, mechanical. This is, so my inspiration for these weekly talks usually comes from something I'm doing. And yesterday I was testing all my tanks, figuring out where my water parameters were, and changing filter socks. Ta-da! Mechanical filtration, that's filter socks, or filter floss. Okay, yes, sponges is a good one. That's one I had left off. I've actually got a sponge in this tank. I'm really bad, because the sponge is so hard to get to on some of these. I'm not as good about cleaning that out. I'm pretty good about filter socks, but sponges, need to do better. So yeah, this tank, they have, I've got it set up that I can use the 4-inch filter socks or the 7-inch filter socks. Just depends on which one's clean that I can use. I've got a little Innovative Marine 20-gallon tank. It has these funky little, it's a little square, but they're not very big. At the top, there's like a piece of plastic, like this thick on the top of it, that it hangs in the tank. And it's really hard. They say that you can throw them in the washing machine, and I did. I put it in there with all my other filter media, filter socks, just put it in the washing machine with a little bit of bleach to clean it out, but I cannot seem to get that clean. So I might see if I can't find like an adapter or something to put on like my outside hose and just spray it down real good. But so filter socks, filter floss. I've actually heard of people using, you can go to the craft store and you could buy like stuffing for pillows and like stuffing for quilting and stuff, using that as their type of filter floss. So those are my 2 examples of mechanical filtration. Last but not least, biological filtration. What kind of examples, or what kind of things do you think about when you think about biological filtration? No, Frank, you do not filter anything. You add to the stuff to be filtered. I know, you're so cute. We can forgive him. Okay, so things that I've got, plants. If a lot of people have freshwater tanks, those plants are great at filtering water and helping to keep water quality good. Same goes with corals, like the nano tank. I think that's probably why the water quality is staying so good, because my fish and crabs are a little bit messy in there, but I've got enough coral, I think, that they're helping to keep the water clean and getting all of those nutrients out. I don't have one on any of my tanks, but I know some of you guys have refugiums where you've got the caulerpa and some of the, okay, I'll be here, and some of the different types of algae. So that's another really good type of filtration. And again, that's not something I've ever used, but I know a lot of people that use it. I think algae scrubbers are another one. I haven't had experience with those, but that's a good way to remove those excess nutrients from your tank. Filter sock. So I'd be curious to hear from you what you use in your tank and how you like it, how you clean it. Like I said, when this tank back here is my quarantine tank, so I've just got filter floss in there when I'm allowed to have filter media in there. I've got a little pad of filter floss, I just pull it out and throw it away when I'm done with it. But these tanks that have filter socks on them, I do, once they get dirty, I try and spray them off as best as I can, turn them inside out, spray them off, and then I will run the washing machine once just to get any soap residue out and do like a rinse cycle, and then I will put the filter socks in there with a little bit of like a capful of bleach and run it through, and then I'll do like 2 more rinse cycles after that and pull them out and let them air dry. Now, I always smell them before I put them back in the tank. Usually once they air dry, you know, even if bleach is on something, it doesn't have a long, it doesn't stay stable, and it doesn't have a long life. So as long as it doesn't smell bleachy, you can put them back in. But if you're worried, actually, I've got a giant bottle that used to sit right up here. I've got a giant bottle of Prime. Seachem makes it. It's really good at dechlorinating, and it'll take out, you know, if you're nervous about it, just put a little Prime in there, let it sit for a minute, and that'll take care of any residual bleach or chlorine that was in there. So yeah, that's how I clean my filter media. This hobby can be expensive. I know when I worked at the store, people would come in every week and buy new filter socks. Actually, the aquarium that I work at, they have these huge, we've got a variety of different sizes, but they're really big filter socks, like 3-foot long filter socks. But the time and manpower it would take to clean them, they end up just throwing them away. They don't reuse them. So it just depends on, you know, your budget, your preferences, what you have. If you're lucky, you have one of those fancy little rolling filter things. I think the Clarity is what it's called. I always think that one of those would be really fun to have in the tank, but I just can't quite justify that price point. If I had more money, maybe, but not right now. If you know anybody that's getting rid of one, let me know. Speaking of getting rid of one and like price points for this hobby, I watched a really interesting video. Prestige Reef was talking in one of his recent videos about how you can afford the aquarium hobby, and he had quite a few really good examples of things that he does that help him to be able to afford the hobby. And like, you know, he was saying he buys a lot of his tanks used, which this one was not used, but I volunteered my time at a local aquarium shop and got like, I had a whole bunch of store credit built up, so I think I only paid like $100 out of pocket for this whole system. But this one behind me, I got for almost nothing. So yeah, it just depends on finding deals, and you know, if you're able to sell your plants that you grow, or if your cichlids have babies, I know that's a real good one, mollies, whatever, you know, your local shops will take them back. So it's interesting, like, how people are able to afford the hobby, if they've got a lot of money or if they use it to help reinvest into the hobby. Kind of like the car guys, like, yo, you don't need this part, sell it, you get money for your new car part. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining. I will be back next week. I apologize for being late today, but I would love to hear what you think and what you use for filtration on your tanks. Feel free to comment below. I think there's like a little comment button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And as always, if you have any questions about anything, if you're curious about reef cell, send me a message. Let me know. I am always happy